Welcome to the Pentecost count, Exodus to the 10 Commandments to salvation.
What we do here is go back.
What up, world? Study the Bible, not the sermon. I am the locksmith. Knowledge is the key. And this is the platform, STBNTS. As you can see, I'm live on location. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's not live, but I am on location. And what I want to do is actually walk you through this 50th day, right? I haven't heard a lot of people in Israel deal with this day, but I have heard it. And so I want to deal with it from my teacher to my students, right? And what we're going to deal with again is the Exodus. Moses and them leaving Israel, feast of unleavened bread. By the time they got to Mount Sinai, 10 Commandments was the Sabbath day. And when they saw God, Exodus 24, that was the day of Pentecost, or the 50th day, right? Now, I am very careful not to call the day that they saw Jesus the day of Pentecost. I'm careful not to call it the feast of Pentecost, right? Even though they did eat and drink, right? But whether they actually kept the Pentecost or not, I think is irrelevant, because it was 50 days later. And we all know that the word Pentecost means 50, and that's what happens 50 days after the unleavened bread turn up. What I'd like to do is kick this off. Yeah, what we do here is go back. And we're going to go back. We're going to go all the way back to the Exodus, to when before Israel became a nation, right? And so to understand this, the first thing that we have to agree on is that while in the wilderness, the people are wandering around, and every time they stop, they have to put up tents. Putting up a tent's not like putting up a tent 2017, even though most of us still don't understand that really. And putting up a tent for your family, all of your personal possessions, takes time. That when they pitched their tents, the days that the Lord showed himself, or the Lord spoke to them, or the Lord did a miracle, or they just pitched their tent and encamped, was a Sabbath day, or there are Sabbath days, right? Because again, with all the work that needs to be done, getting food and water and cooking and cleaning, God's not going to show up unless it's a Sabbath day to actually talk to the people, right? Because how else can you guarantee their attention, right? So if you can deal with that idea, then we can go. Now, Exodus chapter 5 and verse 3. We're going to just read one verse here, and we want to get some understanding about what Moses is trying to do, where Moses and them trying to go, right? 5 and 3, come on.
And they said,
What'd he say?
The God of the Hebrews hath met with us.
Okay.
Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence, or with the sword.
Right? And so 3 days journey into the wilderness to do their sacrifices, right? And so that's what we drawing off of. He said it again in Exodus 3 when the Lord first appeared to him, and he first appeared to Pharaoh. He said, hey, we need to go to the wilderness, 3 days journey, so we can sacrifice, right? So, right now on that note, Exodus chapter 19 and verse 1. That's where we're going to start this. I got my illustrious reader, he hiding. Take off my crown. Exodus 19 and 1, bro. Read something.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt.
Yes.
The same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
Uh-huh.
But they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai.
True.
And had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount.
Turn up.
And Moses went up unto God. And the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob,
What'd he say?
and tell the children of Israel,
Say what?
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
All right, so the Lord about to speak to the people. Skip down to verse 11 and see what he say. Read it.
And be ready against the third day.
Yeah.
For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
Right. So be ready upon the third day, because on the third day the Lord's going to come down to Mount Sinai, holler at the people.
And it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
So this third day on Mount Sinai, he telling the people to sanctify themselves. He also told them, don't even come at your wife, wash your clothes, all that. This third day, when the Lord is going to come on Mount Sinai, we in Exodus 19, so that means Exodus 20 is the 10 Commandments. This day, this third day, is a Sabbath day, right? Because again, how else can you guarantee the people not working, right? Therefore, if the commandments was given on the Sabbath day, then the day that he's talking to Moses, the day they came into the wilderness, right? Ain't that what it said in verse 1? It say, the third month when the children of Israel were going out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. So we got Saturday as the third day. This is Saturday. Friday, Thursday. So Thursday is the day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. Thursday is the day that they came out of the land of Egypt, because it says the same day. Now, what we want to do now is actually go back, take it back to the beginning, and work this thing out. We started at the end just like every good blockbuster, and we're going to take it back. Numbers chapter 33, that's what we want to kick this off at. We're going to spend most of our time in Numbers 33 or Exodus 13, so get that marked off, right? But we want to start this in Numbers chapter 33 from the time they actually were kicked out of Egypt, and let's see what we can see. Numbers chapter 33 and 4. Read that, my brother.
The Egyptians buried all their firstborn, which the Lord had smitten among them.
True.
Upon their gods also the Lord executed judgments.
Yes.
And the children of Israel removed from Ramses and pitched in Succoth. And they departed from Succoth and pitched in...
Hold on, bro. That's cool right there. So, when they left, if you read Numbers 33 and verse 2, it say, verse 3, it say they departed from Ramses the first month, the morrow after the Passover, right? So now verse 4, they buried their firstborn, the Egyptians did. In verse 5, children of Israel removed from Ramses, that's where they were, and pitched in Succoth. And removed from Ramses because Ramses is the easternmost part. Now, let's flip over to Exodus chapter 13. So far, they've left Ramses and moved into Succoth, right? So we in day one, they done pitched. All right, now Exodus chapter 13, verse 20, read it.
And they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham in the edge of the wilderness.
Right, so they left Succoth and went to Etham on the edge of the wilderness, right? And if you do some research on this, the edge of the wilderness is not like when you walk up to the edge of the beach. This edge of the wilderness, they actually talking about they don't walk through the wilderness and they on the other side on the edge of the wilderness, right? And like we read in Exodus chapter 3, and it's said again in chapter 5, that in order to get to the wilderness from where Pharaoh lives, it's a 3-day journey, right? And so we're going with that understanding that from Succoth to the wilderness of Etham is a 3-day journey. So we 3 days in from Exodus already. So Exodus 13 and 20, you encamp by the wilderness of Etham 3 days after leaving bondage, right? And then so But the next 2 days, because remember, that's the other thing with this timeline. You got to remember, if Israel left the land of Egypt in 1 day, that means they was kicked out, they walked a long way, and they split the Red Sea. But everybody forgets that Pharaoh got to change his mind, heart get hardened, go get 600 chariots, and then pursue after them. Then the Lord stood in between them, troubled the Egyptians, and it's just a lot happened, right? So now we 3 days in, and at this time, right, the Israelites have passed a place called Migdol, right? And I'm gonna talk about Migdol when we actually read that. But for right now, they are sitting here, and this is the time that Pharaoh is rethinking himself and gathered 600 chariots, the Bible say, and pursued after Israel, right? And this process takes about 2 days, right? You got to remember that it's like 30 miles flying, right? Research tells us that since about 2500 BC, Egyptians have communicated through pigeons, right? You put the message on the wing, on the foot of the pigeon, and he fly about 30 miles to Pharaoh, to the Red Sea, right? And pigeon can cruise that, take a couple of hours to get that cruising, right? Then Pharaoh pursues, and we gonna pick this up at Exodus 14, because if Pharaoh's pursuing it, then that makes Exodus 14 the 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? Because you left Egypt 3 days into the wilderness, 2 days for Pharaoh is 5, right? And then a day for you to split the sea. Actually, you left on, my bad, split the sea, and I mean, you left bondage on the first day, 3 days into the wilderness, and 2 days for Pharaoh to be on his way. And then they say the Lord discomfited the Egyptians and split the sea all night long. So Exodus 14 and verse 1. Read that, my brother.
Exodus 14.
Yeah, read that.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
What'd he say?
Speak unto the children of Israel,
And say what?
that they turn and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon. Before it shall ye encamp by the sea.
Why?
For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel,
What are you gonna say?
they are entangled in the land. The wilderness hath shut them in.
Turn up. So now it say, tell the children of Israel and turn and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. Now I'm gonna throw up some maps throughout this video, right? So you can kind of walk with me, walk with us, feel us. As Israel left the land of Egypt, they left from Goshen and traveled southeast towards Sukkoth. You can see towards the bottom of the map, they actually passed Pi-hahiroth and passed Migdol in order to reach Etham. They then had to double back down near the Straits of Tiran in order to reach the point where they would end up crossing the Red Sea. Right? Understand, you started north and you've come down to the southernmost point by the Red Sea, right? That's what Migdol is. Now you've actually passed Migdol at this point, and you went up to, I think Etham, right? Like I said, you're gonna see on the chart. And you come up to Etham, and then you get to verse 2, where it says, speak to the children of Israel that they turn. So that means you was going back north, now turn and come back south. When it says that Pharaoh gonna say that they entangled in the land, that's because the Lord went and entangled us in the land, right? Took us into freedom, into the wilderness, then took us right to where the mountains were and boxed us in with the Red Sea, so that Pharaoh's heart would get hardened and come after us. Now, the reason why I brought up Migdol, the word Migdol in Hebrew, because remember, this is Moses that's writing these things, so we're not worried about what the Egyptians called it. In Hebrew, the word Migdol means watchtower, right? And this watchtower was situated by the Red Sea to look out. And I've read somewhere that you could see like 50 meters from the watchtower. Right? Why this is pertinent information, because remember, if you started up here and you came down to Migdal and you went past it, then that means whoever is at the watchtower sees you. And you're supposed to just be going to worship. And instead of worshiping, you walk past it. Matter of fact, give me a pigeon. Let's tell Pharaoh, because they tripping. Where do you think they going anyway? And then here come Pharaoh. You feel me? Exodus 14, and we're going to pick this up at verse 13. My brother, read something.
The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
Okay.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
What'd he say?
Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over.
All right, now skip down to verse 21, and let's see what else transpired on the 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Chapter 14, verse 21, bro, read it.
And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea,
and
the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night.
Turn back.
And made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided.
Yes.
And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground.
Amen.
And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left.
Turn up.
And the Egyptians pursued, and went in after them to the midst of the sea.
Of course they
even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians. And took
hey, that's good, bro. So, the Lord came and troubled the Egyptians while Israel walking through the sea. And then I think that they say the Egyptians started moving through it, and then he troubled them. Took the wheels off. Practical, right? Then brought the water back, drowned everybody. And that's what it is, right? 7th day of the feast is when you receive salvation. And if you think about it, it only makes sense, right? Because God only gave man 7 days. And the 7th day represents the Sabbath day, which represents Jesus' kingdom, which represents your salvation. Well, that's airtight. But I ain't mad at the Lord at all. All right, now, let's recap. Yeah, let's recap that. Numbers 33. Verse 5, let's recap it. Come on.
And the children of Israel removed from Ramses and pitched in Succoth.
And
they departed from Succoth and pitched in Etham.
Hold on. So it said they removed from Ramses and pitched in Succoth. The word Sukkoth, again in Hebrew, not in Egyptian. Sukkoth means to block or shut off or corner, right? Again, we talking about 75 miles. Read.
Which is in the edge of the wilderness.
Yeah.
And they removed from Etham, and turned again unto Pi-Hahiroth, which is before Baal-Zebon.
Right, so they walked about 75 miles. The Bible says they traveled all night and all day. In Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 21, he said that their feet didn't even swell while they was walking in the wilderness. All right, that's how you're able to walk 75 miles all day and all night, because the Lord be with you, right? And then it says that they went to Etham, and the word Etham means shut in, right? Because remember, Etham, you walk past Migdal to Etham, and that's where you was shut in, and that's why Pharaoh was like, yep, we got it, right? And so Pharaoh came for him. Finish verse 7.
And they pitched before Migdal.
Right, and they pitched before Migdal. Now, again, this is a double back, because they were shut in at Pi-Hahiroth, which means mouth of water, right? And if you remember, Pi-Hahiroth is the city they were in when they left through the Red Sea, because Pi-Hahiroth, mouth of water, obviously is facing the Red Sea. And all of these places I'm talking about are not actual cities, territories or areas, right? Like Migdal is a military complex, it's not a city. Pi-Hahiroth, that's probably a beach, not necessarily a city. Check this clip out. Again, just the recap of everything we read so far. At this point in the Exodus route, the children of Israel come down to Migdal, and the word Migdal, again in Hebrew, means watchtower. The watchtower would have been a strategic place where soldiers would have watched out for invading Amalekites or whoever lived in the area, right? Didn't do any research on that, so I don't know that. But you can see that Pi-hahiroth is there also, and they pass both of those to get to Etham. And obviously, if people are at the watchtower, they can see 3 ways for about 55 meters, I read. So they would have seen the children of Israel keep the Sabbath and then continue, not just to worship, and would have sent that pigeon back to the Pharaoh. And Pharaoh would have gotten that message in about 5 hours, gathered his 600 chariots, and began to pursue the children of Israel, taking, approximately probably another day and a half. From this view, we can see Migdal and the actual route to Etham. Keep in mind again that Etham is not an actual place. Etham can be translated as the wilderness, or is described by the edge of the wilderness, right? And as we can see by the illustration, the Israelites would have been entangled in the land with mountain ranges on their west, the Red Sea on their east, more sea to their south, and more mountain ranges to their north. And if they went around the mountain range again, of course, they would be back in the wilderness, because Etham, of course, again, the edge of the wilderness. And another close-up of Etham, kind of see why Moses called it that. You gotta have faith in the Most High. You just gotta have faith. No way out. Created a no way out for you. Let's keep it moving. We on the other side of the Red Sea. We out of Egypt. It's all good, right? We done celebrated our first Sabbath day while we were still in Egypt, encamped at Etham. Numbers 33:8. Come on with it.
And they departed from before Pi-hahiroth, and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness.
Yes.
And went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham, and pitched in Marah.
Right, so now they done went through the Red Sea, and now they walked 3 more days before they got to Marah. Now, 11 miles it is from Pi-hahiroth to the other side of the Red Sea. That's how far they walked before they walked 3 days journey to Marah, right? So that's 3 days from Ramses to the Red Sea, plus the Sabbath, 2 days for Pharaoh to catch up. 7th day, they through the Red Sea. That's 100, right? Then you get to Exodus chapter 15. Exodus chapter 15, of course, is the Song of Moses. Jesus Christ, he is our rock of fortress. My bad, that's my favorite song. But Exodus 15 is the Song of Moses to finish off the high day when they come through the Red Sea before they continue their journey, right? And no wonder Exodus chapter 15:2 says the Lord has become our salvation. Now, like I said, they kept the Sabbath day in Egypt. However, we don't count that Sabbath day, because anybody who's read Leviticus 23, you don't start counting till the morrow after the Sabbath, after the feast is over with. So it will be after that Sabbath day that you begin your first day count, right? And I'm not going to count you out 50 days. We going to count the way the Bible say count. It say count 7 Sabbaths, right? So our first Sabbath has just occurred in Exodus chapter 15, or is about to occur. Skip down to verse 22. Verse 22, come on.
So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea.
True.
And they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water.
Yeah.
And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter.
Woo! Bitter waters. Read.
For the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moses, saying,
What they say?
What shall we drink? And he cried unto the Lord. And
No, that's cool right there. So, coming out the land, out the Egypt, out the Red Sea, Song of Moses, then took their 3-day journey. All right. When they got there, 3 days tomorrow, so they found no water, right? And the Bible tells us that this was to prove Israel, Read verse 25.
God showed him a tree, which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet.
Turn up.
There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and that he proved to them.
Right. Now I say he proved them there. Right. How did he prove them? By letting them get thirsty and seeing if they was going to start tripping, which they did, murmured against Moses. And then he blessed them. Right. Made the water sweet. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a miracle. Right. And again, the Lord comes to speak to his people and perform for his people on the Sabbath day. Right. And this shouldn't be a big deal to anybody watching this, right? Matthew 12:10, John chapter 5 tell you that it's good to do good on the Sabbath day. So here go the Lord doing good to his wife on the Sabbath day. Right? She thirsty, he hooked up, even though she's a murmurer. All right, so now that's our first Sabbath day in freedom. Now remember, we counting these, so that's our first one. Right? Skip down to verse 27 and read it.
And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water,
yes,
and 70 palm trees,
and
they encamped there by the waters.
So now we was at Etham, now we're at Elim, right? And it was 12 palm trees, and it was water there. So of course, you in the desert, you in the wilderness, you find water. Of course, you're going to camp there, right? That's right. This is our second Sabbath day, and we're gonna see that in 1 second. Skip on down, or flip over rather, Numbers chapter 33, and we're going to pick it up where we left off, verse 9. Read it.
And they removed from Marah, and came unto Elim, and in Elim were 12 fountains of water.
Right, now that's the same thing that we just read in Exodus, right? They went from Elim to the place where it was 12 fountains of water, right? Finish that.
And 70 palm trees, and they pitched there.
Yes, they pitched there, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, again with the water, Elim is our second Sabbath. Marah is going to be our third Sabbath, right? Because we pitched. Now, keep going. Numbers 33 and 11. Read.
And they removed from Elim and encamped by the Red Sea. And they removed from the Red Sea and encamped in the wilderness of Sin.
Right, so now they done moved from the Red Sea because they was just going down the coast of the Red Sea. So now they move from the Red Sea and move interior and to the wilderness of Sin, right? And we 3 Sabbaths deep already. Flip back, Exodus chapter 16. All right, Exodus 16 verse 1. Read it.
And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month, after their departing out of the land of Egypt.
Right, so we got some math here. Everybody do your mathematics. Make sure I'm still on point. Right, the second month, on the 15th day of the 2nd month, after they departed out of the land of Egypt. So what's that mean, Locksmith? That means we are about 30 days from when you left bondage. We are a little bit less, about 23 days from the Red Sea. All right, that's just mathematics. They are in the wilderness of sin. So they are in the wilderness of sin. If you continue in chapter 16, they murmured against Moses. So again, they're sitting still now, murmuring again. And if they sitting still now, murmuring again, then what's that mean? 4th Sabbath. So now, Exodus 16 and 1, the 15th day of the 2nd month after they departed out of Egypt. That gives you 4 Sabbaths. 4 Sabbaths, 30 days, however you want to slice it, 4 weeks, right? We here. All right, so Numbers 33, we should be at verse 12. Numbers 33 and 12, read it.
And they took their journey out of the wilderness of Sin,
yes,
and encamped in Dophkah.
Dophkah, right? So they encamped in Dophkah. And again, they made camp. So that would mean this is our 5th Sabbath. Read verse 13.
And they departed from Dophkah and encamped in Alush.
And they encamped in Alush. Again, set up camp, making this our 6th Sabbath since we left bondage. Meanwhile, if you read Exodus chapter 16, They talk about Elim, but skip the last two places that Numbers pointed out. All right. Now, feel free to go read it on your own. That's why you got to have Numbers 33 in conjunction so you can put the pieces together. Now, let's go back to Exodus, right? And like I said, Exodus 16, skip the last two places that we read about. So we're going to pick it up, Exodus 17 and verse 1. Read it.
And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys, according to the commandment of the Lord,
and
pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink.
Right, so now they done made it to Rephidim, and there's no water for the people to drink.
Wherefore the people did chide with Moses and said, Give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, Why chide ye with me? Wherefore do ye tempt the Lord?
Right, now skip down to verse 3, because of course they murmured against Moses again, right, because there's no water. So verse 3, read it.
And the people thirsted there for water.
Yes.
And the people murmured against Moses and said, Wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt, to kill us, and our children, and our cattle with thirst?
Yes.
And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, What shall I do unto this people?
No.
They be almost ready to stone me.
Yeah.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
Matter of fact, skip down to verse 6. Read it.
Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb.
Oh, wait a minute. He said, I will stand upon the rock in Horeb, huh? So when people say that God don't have no form, how you gonna stand on the rock if you don't have no legs or feet? Man, I digress. Read.
And thou shalt smite the rock.
Uh-huh.
And there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink.
Yes.
And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel.
Right now, this place, Rephidim, they stopped and they pinched camp. And can anybody guess why this time when they stopped, it is not a Sabbath day? Things that make you go, The reason why this isn't a Sabbath day, because the Lord had to hit the rock and the people had to gather water. And guess what you can't do on a Sabbath day? Work. Feel me? You smell me? So, read the rest of Exodus 17 on your own for homework. Right? They murmured against Moses for the second time, and then Amalek comes and fights against Israel. In chapter 18, Moses judges the people. His father-in-law Jethro come and throw some jewels on him, give him some good wisdom. He takes the advice, and his life is made better for it. Right? But what we want is Exodus 19. Right? You know we're getting close because we need to get to 24. So Exodus chapter 19, back where we started in the beginning.
Exodus 19.
And we want to pick this up at verse 1 again. Read it.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt.
Yeah.
The same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
Right, so again, the same day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. Remember, we already 6 Sabbaths in by now. They came into the wilderness of Sinai, and of course they encamped before the mount. Right? Now, skip on down to verse 10. Come on with it.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
What'd he say?
Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. And be ready against the 3rd day.
Why?
For the 3rd day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
Okay.
And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned, or shot through,
or
whether it be beast or man.
Out of there.
It shall not live.
Shall not.
When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount.
So?
And Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes.
And what happened?
And he said unto the people,
What'd he say?
Be ready against the 3rd day. Come not at your wives.
Right, because you want to be clean before you go see the Lord, and separate yourself for 3 days. That happens a lot in the Bible. You tell a priest, separate yourself for 3 days, then you can come serve the Lord. Exodus 19 and 1, same day of the week, they encamp before the mount. Right? Counting, again, on the 3rd day, they show up again. So counting Thursday, The third day will be the Sabbath, right? So that means when we get to Exodus chapter 19 and verse 16.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount.
Yes.
And the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud. So that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God.
That's deep. I think that goes past most people, what their purpose was for being there. Matter of fact, take that verse back from the top and read to us again why all these people are even here.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God.
To meet God.
And they stood at the nether part of the mount.
Turn up.
And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke. Because the Lord descended upon it in fire.
Woo!
And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace.
And
the whole mount quaked greatly.
And
when the voice of the trumpet sounded long. And waxed louder and louder, Moses spake. And God answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount. And the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount. And Moses went up.
Well, I mean, you know, if your boss calls, you got to move. Read the rest of Exodus 19 and read the entire chapter of Exodus 20. Because in case you didn't know, a lot more than the 10 Commandments happened on this day. All right. He talked about, you know, how to make an altar. He talked about, the firstborn. He talked about oxes, and, you know, he talked about a few different things, right? On the same day as the 10 Commandments. All right. Now, again, this is God doing miracles, right? He got the thing on fire. He got the trumpets going. He talking to the people. The earth quaking. Everything happening while the people are not working, making this 7th Sabbath day since you left Egypt. 7th Sabbath day, right? And just like they told us in Leviticus 23, and like they told us in the 2nd and 3rd grade, 7 times 7, 49, baby. And that's where we at. The Feast of Pentecost represents the 50th day, not the 49th day. So flip on over to Exodus chapter 24, because actually I said Exodus 19 and 20. Actually, Exodus 19 through chapter 23 all happened the same day. And you go read it for yourself. Check it out, right? But in the meantime, Exodus 24 and 1, bruh.
Exodus 24.
Verse 1, come on.
And he said unto Moses,
What'd he say?
Come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. Right,
so now he done told Moses, hey, get yourself, get your brother, and get 74, your brother's 2 sons, and 70 more of the elders, come holler at me. Like I said, skip down to verse 4, and let's see what happened.
And Moses heard all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill.
So he wrote the words first, and then he got up early in the morning and built an altar. Right? This is Pentecost now. This is the 50th day, pardon me.
And 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
That's smart.
And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord.
Right, so he got up early in the morning, put up 12 stones to represent 12 tribes of Israel, and got the young men to sacrifice offerings, right? Because, of course, the Levites have not yet been appointed, right? So you just get young men to do it, people who can carry it, right? Now, again, I'm not saying that this is the Feast of Pentecost, but I mean, after you sacrifice animals, somebody's got to eat them. Just saying. Right? I wonder who is going to eat the sacrifices. We left off at verse 5. Go ahead, finish it, bro. Verse 6, read.
And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar.
Okay.
And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people.
Hold on. He said he took the book of the covenant. Now, ask yourself, say, self, what is the covenant? What book is it that Moses done wrote? Because we only been 50 days out of Egypt. So, the book of the covenant, Exodus 20 through 23. Book of the Covenant. Read it to the people again. The God just told it to him. Moses came, heard it, wrote it down. Now he reading it to the people again. Read.
And they said,
What they say?
all that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient.
Boy, I tell you, Israel got that good lip service, boy. They'll talk your ear off. They'll yes you to death. Read.
And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold.
Hey, matter of fact, I don't even want to read no more of that, man. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I do, man. Read it.
The blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Then went up.
Then went up. This is the bond of the covenant. The Lord is bringing them into the bond of the covenant. The Lord is marrying Israel at this time. Right, bringing them into the covenant on the 50th day. Now check what you know about the 50th day and what it has to do with a covenant, and see if I'm on the right page here. Verse 9, take it from the top. Read.
Then went up Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel.
And
they saw the God of Israel. And there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness.
Turn up, boy.
And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand.
Yes.
Also they saw God, and did eat and drink.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, again, I'm not saying that they had the Feast of Pentecost while they saw the God of Israel. I'm just saying that the elders were with the God of Israel on the 50th day, eating and drinking. On the morrow after the Sabbath. Happy Pentecost. Right? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It was a doozy this week, but I pulled it off. I hope that somebody got something out of it. Somebody was edified in some way. What we've been talking about today is definitely not necessary to know for salvation. It's just something fun. And like I said, I've only heard it done one time by one person. So shout out to my teachers, Aaron Ben Yaakov, Brother Habakkuk, and of course, Brother Bowie. I am the Locksmith, LOCKSMIF. Today is the 5th day of the week. This is the platform. Things that make you go, Thursdays. And we out.